So this is the story of Operation Kitty Claus. Now that's Claus spelt like Santa Claus, and of course Kitty because, well, I'm T-Cat and cat, kitty, Kitty Claus. Kind of a play on words, I'm sure you get it. So this was probably 2013-ish, and I had been doing show after show after art show, art fair after art fair, and painting nonstop. It was all I was doing, and just painting and painting and painting. Now, what this ultimately meant was that I had a lot of paintings. I wasn't selling a whole lot. I was selling a few, but compared to how many I was producing, I was not selling nearly enough. I had over 100 that I had just stored and stockpiled and that I was taking from show to show. And it's a lot of work to take all of that to display and set up. So I was getting really frustrated of taking it all, getting it all set up and displayed, and then having to take it all down and pretty much not selling as much as I had hoped. And I kind of wanted a fresh start artistically, and I felt like as long as I had all of these artworks kind of lingering, I wasn't going to be able to get that feeling of a fresh start. So I wanted to get rid of them. And that's when I came up with the idea for Operation Kitty Claus. So I spent all night wrapping all of these artworks, like about almost 100. I didn't wrap all of them, but I would wrap them in this very nice brown craft paper, and then I would tie them with twine. And then I placed a letter, a handwritten note, outward facing that basically said, "Hello, I am a local artist. I want to share my art with others. Therefore, I am gifting this original artwork to you. Signed, T-Cat," with my logo. I thought, totally cool idea. So I then, after spending all night doing this, the sun's like 2 hours from coming up, and I decide I'm just gonna go place all of these artworks on random people's doorsteps. In my neighborhood, in adjacent neighborhoods, in neighborhoods across town, just wherever I felt this house should have an artwork, that's what I did. And so I stealthily placed nearly 100 artworks, original pieces of art, on people's porches in the very, very early morning hours. It's kind of amazing that I didn't really encounter or I wasn't really confronted by anybody during this process. I was really sneaky. And I get home from that and I'm tired. I've been up all night, and then I was out doing this, and the excitement, I'm coming down from all of the excitement of doing this, being extra sneaky. And I remember laying down in my bed and I'm falling asleep to thoughts of being on the news and being interviewed, and people being like, "Wow, what a cool idea. How did you think of this? Why would you give away all of this amazing artwork?" And I woke up a couple hours later to the sound of pounding, boom, 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 boom on my door. And dog is barking. And I was just like, what on earth? Like, it was a very aggressive pounding on the door. And maybe it didn't start out that way, but that's what woke me up. So I go to the door and I look through the little peephole, and it's there's police outside, and I was like, oh no. So I opened the door and I was like, hello? And they're like, "Are you Travis?" And I was like, "Yes." And they're like, "AKA T-Cat?" And I was like, "Yep, that's me." And they're like, "Did you put a bunch of artworks on random people's doorsteps last night?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." And then I was like, "Did I break any laws?" And they're like, "No, you didn't break any laws, but we've been getting calls all morning because people are reporting suspicious packages on their doorsteps, and they weren't expecting anything. They don't know where they came from." And so people were actually calling the police. Multiple people were calling the police and reporting suspicious packages. And I was just like, oh, that's weird. I put a little note on each one and explained that it was a piece of art, and it's a very obvious shape. It's not like a box or any odd shaped package. It's very obviously like a framed picture sort of a shape. And the cop was like, yeah, so you might want to go back around and retrace your steps and just collect all of the ones that you put out. And I was like, well, I don't really want to do that. And they're like, well, we already have like a bunch of them in our car because people called them in and we had to pick them up. And also it's trash day and people are already putting them out by their trash bins to be picked up. And I was like, wow, like that really took the wind out of my sails, you know? And I was like, man, like, it's just crazy. Like, I didn't expect this, you know, all of the things I did expect, this was not it. And I'm just like so bummed out and so disheartened. And I'm just like, oh man, well, it is what it is. And I just went back to bed. I didn't go pick up my artworks or try to collect them. I just felt a sense of defeat and shame and just like this feeling of like, wow, my artwork is so terrible that people won't even accept it as a gift for free. They put it immediately out to the trash or call it in thinking it's a bomb or something. So fast forward about 2-3 weeks, maybe even longer. It felt like a long time. I get a phone call. No, it was a message on Facebook. I got a message on Facebook and they asked if I was the person that had a little while back put out all these artworks. And I was like, oh man, do I actually admit to this at this point? After everything I've experienced, do I say yes? And I was like, you know what? There's no denying it. Yes, that was me. And they were like, that was amazing. I want to talk to you. Can we meet? And they said, I want to buy something because they were like, I love your artwork. I have several of your pieces now. I want to meet and I want to buy something from you just to pay you back for this amazing gift. And I was just like, all right. So they come over to my little studio space and I have a few artworks left that I had kept. And first they tell me their little story about how their son was the one that actually got a painting delivered to his doorstep. And then he said, hey mom, I went outside and there's people already putting them out by the trash. And so she went to his house and walked all through their neighborhood and collected all of the ones she could find. And I don't know how many she ended up with, but she said she had a few. So she collected them from the trash. And now she's in my studio space and she's telling me this story about how cool of an experience it was and how she has them hanging all in her house. And she's now my number one collector. And that in itself kind of was like, all right, you know, maybe this was all worth it. And she's like, but I really want to buy a piece from you. So are these for sale? And I was just like, yeah, these are for sale. And I'm going one by one and I'm explaining kind of the thought and meaning behind the pieces, any of them that she's interested in. And she points at one and she's just like, oh, this one seems interesting. And she points at one that I had done for a breast cancer charity event that got canceled. So I had done this painting. It was supposed to be donated and then auctioned off to raise money for breast cancer awareness through this gala of some sort. And it got canceled or postponed for some reason. And she was like, oh, like, yeah, I'm interested in this one. And so I told her that that's what it was for. It was originally painted for a breast cancer event. And she looks at me and her eyes are tearing up. And she just gives me this biggest hug. Like she just like all of a sudden squeezing me really tight. And I'm just like, whoa. And she's just like, I'm a breast cancer survivor. And then I just was like, okay. Like, and I'm hugging her back. And she's like, can I have that one? I'll buy it from you. And I said, you know what? No, it's meant to be yours. And so I gave it to her. And she left without actually buying anything but one more painting for her collection. And after that, it all felt worth it to me. Like the whole experience, I know that a lot of my artwork ended up in the dump. And I know that it caused some people stress and anxiety for some reason. I definitely wasn't trying to do that. But in the end, I made one person very happy, and that made it all worth it. So that's the story of Operation Kitty Claus, also known as the first time that my art caused the police to get involved, and would not be the last. But that's for another video. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later.